What's up, y'all? It's your boy Kairos, and today I'm bringing you the definitive guide for Frost Death Knight and 11.2 for PvP. Frost is looking phenomenal right now, so I've got the elite set on here. Looking pretty slick this patch. So there's two talents, or not two talents, but one-hander or two-hander. One-hander's so much farther ahead. Frost Strike damage is so high right now, unless they nerf Frost Strike more than it has already been nerfed, and they nerf it more, maybe two-hander will see some play, but honestly, with dual wield and the advantage of having huge Frost Strikes hitting upwards of 5 million, or even more, it's not good to not run it. It's pretty much all I'm going to say. And that's pretty much just my opinion on it. Okay. So here we go. Our rune on our main weapon is going to be Rune of Remorseless, which is going to be our main hand, and Rune of the Fallen Crusader. Our stats are going to be really simple. We're going to run Mastery. Mastery is our biggest stat. And then it's going to go Mastery, Versatility, Crit, and Haste. Or Haste and Crit. Right? Because we don't need Crit anymore. We don't really need Haste because our tree has been fixed. Empowered Rune Weapon has been reworked, so it's not a big 2-minute cooldown. Now it's a 30-second cooldown, which gets reduced from our Rhyme procs, so it does change our rotation up. Now we no longer get Rhyme procs from our Obliterates, now it's our Frost Strikes, so there's some priority in our standard rotation to use Rhyme before we use Frost Strike again if we have it, just because we do get runic power from it, and everything else, depending on how you have your talents, and just all that, and what you do talent into. So we got the stats, runes, all that stuff out of the way. As far as all the enchants, you're going to run speed, cloak and stuff like that. Bracers, speed, boots, speed, rings, mastery, cursed mastery, and you're going to be running... Oh, that was odd. Huh. I don't even know what that was, but okay. I know I have crit on there, but I was doing some blood PvP, and I was doing some testing, right? And it looks like crit will be good for blood, or maybe not. I don't know entirely yet, but it's feeling pretty good with crit having big death strikes. But anyway, your damaging abilities, spells and abilities have a chance to deal X amount of damage for the chosen skull, which you have on there. Okay, whatever, for your sockets. I like the damage reduction for the big PvP one, so there's that. Okay, so we got that out of the way. Speed and chance, that's what we want. So there's that. Okay, so talents. There's 3 builds I have. There is the big breath build. This is the no breath. And I'll change some things up. But I think the breath build is probably the best build because it's 4 to 8% of your damage almost every game. Depending on the length of the game, of course, that number gets a little bit lower, but it does your Hyperxia, which is this little dot right here. Your runic spinning abilities have a chance to additionally deal 40% of the damage dealt over 4 seconds. This is really strong, especially with breath and with all your killing machines that are going on through your burst window, which actually does feel pretty damn good. So let's get into this. There's one talent I do want to talk about. I know a lot of DKs don't like it. Frost Strike and Glacial Advance now cause your next Frost Strike and Glacial Advance to deal 15% increased damage and cost 5 more runic power. This does stack up to 2 times, so it increases the cost up to 40. This talent is counterbalanced as far as what the weight costs, and it does slow your rotation down a little bit, but honestly, the Frost Strike damage from this talent is so heavy, along with Shattering Blade, that Rage of the Frozen Waste, it actually kind of balances it out. It does slow it down a little bit, but it doesn't feel terrible. So that's where that's at, and especially if you're not going to get trained super hard, but you're still a DK, so you're probably going to get trained anyway, unless you're playing with like a Warlock, Demolock, or Hunter, or something like that, and even then you're still probably going to get trained, or, you know, with a Dev Evoker or something, but DKs get trained, we're going to get trained anyway, so there is that. So I like Rage of the Frozen Waste. I'm going to explain the burst rotation, and it's kind of the same with the it's kind of the same thing with the non-breath build, but the reason I like the breath build with the big Icy Onslaught is really simple. So I've got this target dummy right here set for grip. Okay, I've got my focus on him. So let's say I'm just going to click this. I got it, 1 killing machine. Okay, I'm going to grip him blind, pop all my cooldowns. Now I can use my breath. And now we're just going to do it like this, right? Because it gives us another killing machine proc. And that's pretty much it. Whenever we have Empower Rune Weapon, we're pretty much going to use it. When we don't have runes and we need to spend something, because we do get that chance to just instantly Frost Strike and get runic power and get our runes back. So I like to use it on cooldown and then use a Frost Strike. And then use Rhyme, of course, before I use Frost Strike, because we are using Rage of the Frozen Wastes. And it does give us runic power. And it's always good for habit, just in case we're not like wasting Rhyme procs. Because we do get it from Frost Strike now instead of Obliterate. So that's just kind of like a simple priority in our rotation that we need to be mindful of. You have a Rhyme proc, it's sitting right on top of your character's head. Just use it before you use Frost Strike again. Otherwise, you're giving up damage. That's just free. It's just giving you damage. So that's always something, especially if someone goes away at 5% health, you can still kill them with your Howling Blast, which is actually doing a lot of your damage this patch, which actually feels really good. So again, the rotation is very simple. This is pretty much all you're doing. I'm going to use a Frost Strike, Rhyme proc, and I'm using Icy Onslaught right now. And as you can see, I don't feel like I have any problems with runic power, and I'm pretty much mid-maxing the hell out of my mastery. I do have some haste just from the enchants I chose because just of what I have. And that's pretty much it. So the rotation doesn't feel like I'm losing a whole lot, but that's pretty much it. So your burst rotation, dot, Howling Blast, chains, grip, blind, dragon, and then if you have enough, you're going to use that second one, and then you're going to breath, you're going to obliterate into another Empower Rune Weapon, into a Frost Strike, into another 6-stack obliterate. Because now, off this talent here, we get all that extra killing machine, we get that haste, right? So, multiple applications may overlap. Feels phenomenal. Feels really good. And that's pretty much it as far as the burst rotation. Now, we do have an AoE build for Frost. I don't really like it because we lose a bunch of other things, which feels kind of wonky. Now, I do like this, though. This is something that I know a lot of people might not agree with, but I actually do kind of like this. Okay, so when you do this, it's going to be a little bit weird. Now, the modifier on this is terrible. And honestly, it's honestly only going to be good for like padding the numbers if you're going to use Frost Scythe, but Obliterate's already hitting so goddamn hard anyway that I don't even like to use it. It's not even like a thought in my mind is using Frost Scythe. It's basically a dead global, but it's essentially the same thing. I like this build for big AoE, and then you're just pretty much going to run Death's Cold Embrace with it. The only problem is you can't move. Think about the only race that can is like High Mountain Tauren with the racial if they need to like scoot forward. But we have a DR on grip now, so it's kind of whatever. But anyway, onto the obliterate build. Just the obliterate Frost Strike build. No breath, no nothing. So it's pretty much going to be the same. The only difference is really simple. We're either going to be running one talent or the other. And that's pretty much, we're going to drop that. And we're going to go, oh, whoops, I guess I'm going to disconnect. Get back in here. Sorry about that. But yeah, we're going to be running, let's see if it, okay, no. We go back to no breath. Yes. Yes. Okay. So what we'll do is, okay, here's Icy Onslaught. If you don't like this talent, you can just do this, especially if you're going to have cleave in the game. Pets, anything, you can kill pets with this. You can do a lot of damage with this. If you don't like that and you want to run breath, you can do something like this, right? You can do that too. You can have the huge runic power. It's really not that bad. I really like it. I really actually appreciate it a lot. You get a lot more frost strikes, dropping Icy Onslaught, but honestly, Icy Onslaught is doing so much damage, especially with Shattering Blade, that I find it hard not to run it. And you do get killing machines from frost strikes, so maybe dropping Icy Onslaught can give you more obliteration damage, but it just makes your frost strike damage so ridiculously high. We're doing 30 to 40% of your damage throughout the entire game that I don't feel like I'm really losing anything, right? So there is that. So those are kind of the builds. The burst sequence is roughly the same. At that point, I think that's pretty much it. If Remorseless grants you mastery now up to 40%, which feels good. So you're just getting more mastery. So that's pretty much where I have it. Frostbane can be good into a lot of pets, especially hunters, warlocks, stuff like that. Other DKs, unholy DKs, you can actually kill a lot of their pets with it. Actually does hit pretty ridiculously hard, especially if you're able to min-max it and keep it going. I found that it actually hits like a train. I just like the advantage of having Cleave as a Death Knight. It feels really good. But anyway, so the rotation is really simple. Prioritize Rime over Frost Strike. Reason is we're wasting damage at that point. And Howling Blast is actually hitting like a train. It's actually hitting for like 1 million damage or more, which still feels really good. On to PvP talents. Strangulate's always your lock-in. Delirium for most anything that can kite. And then cutting your third option is kind of your most flexible. And you can flex with this depending on the combo. Death Chill's garbage. Delirium's good. Shroud of Winter's pointless. Dark Sim is good as well. Bitter Chill can be good into some things, especially in twos, like into a Warlock or a anything like that. You could run like Delirium, Bitter Chill into a lot of classes. But I find with a lot of classes, like it's good into a warrior if you're just going to smack the warrior in the face all game in a twos match and just script the healer on blind goes. And you do have enough sustain damage and stuff like that. But I like to run Bloodforged Armor for most melee. And that's kind of where I'll drop like Icy Onslaught, for example, just so I have all that extra runic power. So I have all that extra healing for stuff like that, right? So it feels really good into stuff like that. And it feels really good into like Runic Command because you just have so much runic power where you feel like you just have a 25% wall the entire game and you're just not going to take no damage. So that's what I like personally. Pretty much half your talents are pretty much dead. They're pointless or bad. And that's pretty much it. Spell Warden's good into a lot of casters, stuff like that, just for your self-healing and stuff like that. Make sure when you do face casters, go with Horseman's Aid and into anything that's kind of like not magical. Pact of the Apocalypse is good. But most stuff, you're pretty much going to be running Horseman's Aid, in my personal opinion, just because you can kind of go burst to burst and still get a ton of healing and a lot of benefit from like Spell Ward and stuff like that. And you can actually have probably 30 or 40 million healing in a single game with that as well, which feels really good. Makes you very tanky throughout the entire game. And that's pretty much it. As far as comps, let's see here. Our best comps are going to be really, really simple. For twos, there's kind of 3 healers, maybe 4. And I'll make it up like this. Mistweaver's going to be your best friend. They have damage. They have a stun. They have tremendous healing. They have immunities. They have a CC, that breath or whatever that cloud is, works really good. Non-dispellable. So you could like grip someone behind the pillar. They can blast off across the map with the other healer trying to run to go get their DPS. They can paralyze into the cloud, into leg sweep, for example. They can ring. They can deny a lot of stuff in twos. Resto Druid, because they're hard to catch, so you can pretty much be the main focus. Into melee, casters, whatever. Your healer can be really annoying. Resto Shaman, really good for twos. It's very disruptive, and they can help you secure the game just like a Mistweaver Monk. They don't have as much damage, though, and that's kind of where I like the Mistweaver Monk more, because they actually complement a lot of your damage, because you can actually swap. You can, like if a healer tops himself off, you can swap onto their teammate who's, let's say, like 50%, and then you can global their teammate or get their teammate really low, and even get more cooldowns for your burst cooldowns. And eventually they just run out of cooldowns, and they eventually just die, right? So there is that option. Okay. So that's twos. Threes, you're pretty much locked into, as far as casters, you're locked into, I would say, Destro Lock, Demo Lock, and Hunters. Those are the only casters you can play with. You might be able to make some other work, but it's advantageous to what you're doing. As far as melee, you can pretty much play with whatever melee, I would say, for the most part. Enhancement Shaman's also a good one. They have a lot of burst damage. They have a lot of things that can help with that, help you lock the target down, just like a Resto Shaman would in twos. But the only problem is Resto Shamans, or Enhancement Shamans, they don't have Mortal Strike. You don't have Mortal Strike, so if you're not running on burst goes, you're not going to win the game. So there is that, because everybody has a goddamn Mortal Strike now, except for Red Pellies, Frost Death Knights, and Enhancement Shamans. So there's those three, and every comp is going to be running pretty much Mortal Strike, Rogue. I mean, everybody has one, right? Except for those three specs. Melee, your best melee, I would say, are going to be pretty much anything with a Mortal Strike. So Warrior's okay. I wouldn't say it's amazing. The single target is definitely a lot better for Frost, so it's definitely probably pretty good, but again, not the best comp. But DH is probably going to be one of your best, just because of the raw damage. The raw damage from the DH, the cleaving, and everything else feels really good as well. So there is that. That feels phenomenal. Windwalker Monk can still work because of the AoE stun. Leg sweep still works. You can still make it work. But probably your best comp is probably just going to be Dev. Dev with a healer that isn't going to DR your stuff. So probably like a Druid, or even a Paladin, just so he can help get you guys away from stuff and immune stuff and stop other goes. And you guys are pretty much just going to kite when you guys don't have anything. And that's pretty much going to be it. So there's the comps. Frost DK is very comp dependent, and if you don't play with the right thing, you could just lose rating. Play with the right thing, you'll push rating, get the practice in, get the blind grip goes ready, and you'll get rating. Like, especially now, you're not gonna lose rating if you just queue the game, you get practice in, you get with someone good, and you just queue and you learn how each other play, and then that's pretty much it. You just get your practice in, get your 2400, get your thing going. Of course, solo shuffle's a lot harder, because you're not always going to get the right classes in there, and it can be kind of a pain in the ass, but that's just the nature of solo shuffle anyway. And that's pretty much just how it goes. So we've pretty much covered everything for Frost Death Knight in 11.2. Runes, stats, everything, comps, talents. And I'll put all the talents, and I do have some helpful macros I'll put down in the description down below to help you guys succeed. And if you guys want any like Arena 1-2 macros, 1-2-3 macros, let me know down in the comments. I'll put them down in there for you if you want them, but I'll put like an example macro, but you need like 3 different versions or 1 or 2 versions depending on what kind of whatever you're doing, if you're doing 2s, 3s, whatever. But you guys have a good one. I'm glad I could get this guide out to you guys, and peace out.